What if I told you that a dog can maintain the exact same weight on the scale for an entire year, look completely perfectly healthy to the naked eye,
Right.
and still be like quietly losing the vital muscle mass that keeps them from paralysis?
It sounds impossible, right? But it happens all the time.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you're here with us today. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at the invisible shifts in our pet's health. And we're actually starting this deep dive in a veterinary waiting room.
Oh, I love this example.
Right. So picture this. A confident adult Pembroke Welsh Corgi strutting right through the front doors. I mean, he acts like he owns the clinic. He's happily devouring treats at the front desk, soaking up all the attention from the staff. And to you, as the owner, and honestly on paper, everything is flawless.
Oh, yeah, totally flawless.
He's eating great at home, his energy is up, and he just seems completely normal.
Right. It is literally the absolute picture of health. You walk into that appointment expecting like a high five from the vet and a clean bill of health.
Exactly.
But then beneath that happy treat-eating surface, the actual physical exam reveals a totally different story.
Okay, so what does the vet actually find?
Well, the vet has to search a little harder to find the dog's waist under all that thick coat, for one. His nails are, slightly overgrown. There's some mild gum inflammation starting around the back teeth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he has a recurring low-grade irritation in one ear. And then when the vet compares his hindquarters to a photo from a year ago, the muscle mass is just a little less even than it used to be.
Right, and I want to be clear here for everyone listening, none of these findings is an emergency. Like, nobody is rushing this corgi to an operating room or hitting the panic button.
No, not at all.
But together, all these tiny details form a map. And our mission in this deep dive is to explore the concept of the baseline.
Yes, the baseline is everything.
Because knowing exactly what is normal for a dog today is the ultimate tool to prevent pain or, lost mobility tomorrow. It kind of makes me think of a home inspection.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like when you hire an inspector for a house, you aren't paying them to tell you if the roof has already collapsed into the living room. Obviously, you'd know that.
Right, you'd see the sky from your couch.
Exactly. You are paying them to find the microscopic, invisible water leak behind the drywall, like before it ruins the ceiling 6 months from now.
That structural analogy really hits the nail on the head. Because looking at a dog on any given Tuesday, just taking a single snapshot in time, it doesn't reveal the leak.
So a single vet visit isn't enough.
Well, a weight number by itself is essentially meaningless because human perception suffers from change blindness.
Change blindness.
Yeah, we see our dogs every single day, so our brains just smooth over the slow, millimeter by millimeter changes. It's the long-term trend that actually matters.
I think that makes sense.
Which means building a baseline while the dog is entirely healthy. You have to anchor your observations regarding what normal actually looks like.
Like what kind of things?
How they rise from a nap, how they navigate familiar stairs, their usual appetite, the condition of their skin, and their typical gait.
Okay, but I can hear people listening to this right now and immediately worrying about the logistics.
Oh, for sure. It sounds overwhelming.
Right, because if someone is supposed to track rising techniques, daily gait, exact weight, and skin condition, it sounds like a recipe for becoming a completely neurotic helicopter pet parent walking around the living room with a clipboard and a stopwatch.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that.
So how does someone gather all this data without turning it into a stressful daily chore?
Well, you ditch the clipboard completely. This isn't about formal data collection. It is about passive awareness during your ordinary routine care.
Passive awareness. Okay, I like that.
Right. You're already petting your dog. You're already brushing them. You're watching them walk ahead of you on a leash every morning anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So the goal is to just be mentally present during those normal activities. If you pay attention to how their shoulder muscles feel under your hand while you're just rubbing their back watching television, your hands will eventually memorize that landscape.
Oh, so it becomes muscle memory for you too.
Exactly. When a shift occurs, it registers automatically. Familiarity makes the abnormal stand out without any extra effort on your part.
Which brings up a really fascinating structural challenge, specifically with a breed like the Pembroke Welsh Corgi that we talked about earlier.
Oh, yes, the Corgi build.
Yeah, they possess this natural, compact, broad, low build. And that specific geometry naturally reads to the human eye as solid rather than overweight.
It really does. It throws people off.
And then you add the thick Corgi double coat on top of that frame. It basically acts as canine camouflage. It's like wearing a bulky winter sweater.
That is a perfect description.
Right, you could easily gain or lose 5 pounds under a heavy winter knit, and nobody on the street would have a clue. The coat just completely obscures the truth about the waistline.
And that camouflage creates a real hidden danger, which is compounded by the emotional aspect of feeding.
Oh, the puppy dog eyes.
Yes, it feels cruel to restrict food from a dog, especially a breed known for having a relentless, bottomless appetite. Owners often feel like villains when their dog is just staring intensely at an empty bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say no to that face.
It is, but yielding to those eyes and allowing an extra pound or two, it adds immense, dangerous mechanical strain to their spine, their hips, their joints, and even their cardiovascular system.
Just a pound or two.
Just a pound or two. And because of the structural variations within the breed, like some have a naturally larger frame, others are very petite, there is no universal magic number on the scale to aim for.
So you can't just look up ideal corgi weight online.
Exactly. You must physically put your hands on the dog. You have to press through that winter sweater coat to check the ribs and the waist.
Okay, so feeling is better than seeing.
Yes, but taking a consistent monthly photo from the exact same top-down angle is also incredibly helpful for cutting through the coat's illusion and tracking the visual trend over time.
Okay, but let's go back to that counterintuitive idea from the very beginning of the deep dive.
Sure.
If my dog weighs 28 pounds in January and then weighs 28 pounds in July, I mean, I'm going to assume we're doing a fantastic job maintaining their health.
Most people would.
So how is it possible that the scale hasn't moved a single ounce, but the dog is actually in physical decline?
Well, this is where the scale actively deceives you. A dog can maintain a perfectly steady overall weight while simultaneously losing vital muscle mass in the hindquarters and replacing it with fat.
Wait, replacing muscle with fat, but the weight stays the same.
Yep. The gravitational pull, the weight itself is identical, but the body composition has fundamentally altered. Fat tissue is lighter and less dense, but it takes up a lot more space, filling in the gaps where thick, dense muscle used to be.
Oh, wow. It's like taking out the solid, load-bearing wooden beams inside a house and replacing them with cheap drywall.
Yes.
From the street, the house looks exactly the same size and shape, but structurally, it is deeply compromised.
That is the perfect biomechanical comparison. You just cannot rely on the digital readout at the vet's office. You have to physically feel the shoulders, the back, and the thighs for tone and symmetry.
Because muscle isn't just about looking fit.
Exactly. Muscle isn't just about giving the dog an athletic appearance. Those load-bearing beams are what actually support the spine. They stabilize the joints and they aid in balance.
And that's especially important for long-backed breeds, right?
Crucial. When it comes to spinal prevention, there is no magical force field against disc issues. You can't put a corgi in a bubble.
Right.
But realistic risk reduction means maintaining that healthy weight, keeping that muscle mass incredibly strong to act as an internal corset, ensuring they have safe traction on your floors at home, and stopping repeated, hard, concussive jumping off furniture.
And those load-bearing beams really only matter in terms of how the dog actually moves through the world, which kind of brings us to their gait.
Yes, movement is a huge indicator.
I read in our source material that capturing short videos of their natural movement while they're completely healthy seems like a brilliant way to establish that baseline.
It really is.
Because then you can watch for subtle things like paw dragging, uneven nail wear on one specific side, crossing the hind legs, or like any slight hesitation when they get up from a hardwood floor.
Having a video of their normal gait on your phone is invaluable data. But we need to issue a very firm warning regarding what you do with that video.
Oh, you mean the internet rabbit hole?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those home recordings are strictly for your veterinarian to interpret.
Right.
Do not fall into the Google diagnostic spiral where you spot your dog's paw dragging for a fraction of a second and suddenly convince yourself at 2 in the morning that they need emergency spinal surgery.
Yes, step away from the search bar.
Please do. You are the data collector. The veterinarian is the diagnostician.
Right. But movement isn't just physical mechanics, right? It leaks into how they act. Because when a dog's movement becomes compromised, they don't sit you down and complain about their knees over coffee.
No, they don't have the words for it.
They change their behavior. If a dog starts refusing to go up a staircase they have used 1,000 times, or displays a sudden new irritability when being picked up, or resists their normal brushing routine, or starts withdrawing from family activities, Those aren't just quirky personality changes or sudden training regressions, are they?
Not usually, no. We so frequently attribute those behavioral shifts to a dog just being stubborn or testing boundaries or, getting a little grumpy with age.
Yeah, he's just being an old man.
Right. But in reality, sudden behavioral shifts almost always warrant a deep dive into their physical health. They're communicating discomfort in literally the only language available to them.
And very often, the source of that discomfort is literally right at their feet, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Checking the pads of their feet and between their toes is commonly overlooked, but nail length is absolutely critical to their structural health.
The mechanics of how nails affect posture are fascinating. Like, when a dog's nails are too long, the nail hits the floor before the pad does.
Exactly.
And that physical contact forces the dog's toes to push upward, which shifts their entire body weight backward onto their heels. It literally alters the angle of the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, and all the way up into the spine.
You are changing the fundamental geometry of the dog's leg.
That's crazy to think about, just from a nail.
Just from a nail, and add in the fact that long nails destroy a dog's natural traction. Corgis are already prone to sliding around on smooth hardwood floors, and long nails turn that into walking on ice while wearing tap shoes.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It is. The constant micro-slipping forces the muscles to work overtime, just stand still, which pushes immense stress right into the joints. Furthermore, if your dog suddenly fights a nail trim that they previously tolerated without issue, it rarely means they developed a sudden psychological fear of clippers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it often indicates hidden pain in their toes, their leg, or their back that is being severely aggravated when you pull the leg forward to clip the nail.
But see, you wouldn't know that resistance was a red flag if you didn't have the baseline history of them being perfectly fine with nail trims in the past.
Exactly. That's why the baseline is so important.
And that stoicism, like that evolutionary drive to just keep going and mask the pain, it extends to areas you wouldn't expect. The mouth is a prime example.
Oh, absolutely.
I was genuinely shocked to learn from our source material that a dog experiencing legitimate, severe mouth pain will just happily crunch away on dry, hard kibble as if nothing is wrong. I mean, let's unpack this for a second. How is that even possible?
Well, it seems completely counterintuitive to the human experience, right?
Yeah. If I have a terrible toothache or an infected gum, I'm switching to eating soup. I avoid crunchy foods at all costs.
Of course. But dogs possess an incredibly potent survival instinct tied directly to eating. In the wild, showing weakness or refusing food means death.
Wow.
So they will enthusiastically power through excruciating agony just to eat their kibble. So appetite loss is the absolute worst metric for dental health.
The worst metric.
Okay, if you wait for a dog to stop eating to tell you they have dental disease, the disease has likely already progressed to a catastrophic level.
Okay, so if the food bowl isn't the indicator, what are we supposed to be looking for? Bad breath.
Yes, bad breath, which isn't just, normal dog breath, but the smell of actual bacteria.
Yuck. Okay.
You need to look for visible tartar on the teeth, or watch to see if they are suddenly chewing exclusively on one side of their mouth to bypass a painful tooth, or even if they're dropping pieces of food out of their mouth while they chew.
Okay, so it really requires regular visual checks.
Regular visual checks and professional veterinary dental care. You can introduce gradual toothbrushing at home, but it must be with dog-safe products.
Right, no human toothpaste.
Never human toothpaste. It contains fluoride and often xylitol, which are highly toxic to dogs. And we really have to dispel the myth that feeding dry kibble counts as a dental prevention strategy.
Oh, I've heard that so many times. The crunch cleans their teeth.
It doesn't. The biomechanics of eating kibble just don't clean teeth. The kibble simply shatters when bitten. It does not scrape the plaque off the gum line in any meaningful way.
That makes total sense. And that survival instinct masking interior pain also masks exterior issues, which brings us to their skin and coat. Because the Corgi coat doesn't just hide weight, it hides a multitude of skin traumas.
It does. You cannot just use your eyes to inspect a double-coated dog.
You have to get in there.
Yes, you have to use your hands during brushing. You need to part the hair right down to the skin to feel for redness, moisture, scabs, parasites, and lumps. Check the neck, the chest, the back, the legs, and the paws.
And if you find something.
If you find a lump, map it out. Track its size and texture over time.
Good idea.
And a vital note on coat management: do not shave a double-coated dog.
Yes, I wanted to bring this up. People often assume shaving them keeps them cool in the summer or stops the shedding.
It's a huge misconception. It actually ruins their natural insulation. That coat regulates their temperature in both heat and cold, and it protects their skin from sunburn. Shaving it alters the texture permanently, and it doesn't even stop the shedding.
It just means they shed shorter hairs.
Exactly.
So during those hands-on checks, if you notice your dog is incredibly itchy, the source laid out a very specific protocol to follow.
Oh, the itch protocol. Yes.
Because people tend to panic and immediately assume an itch is a food allergy, which leads to what the source called the shotgun approach. They change the food, switch the shampoo, and add a new skin supplement, all in the exact same week.
And it's entirely understandable why owners do that. I mean, they want to provide immediate relief for their pet.
Sure.
But an itch could be environmental allergies like pollen, it could be a parasite, or it could be a fungal infection. When you use the shotgun approach and change 3 variables at once, you abandon the basic scientific method.
You have no idea what actually worked.
Right. If the dog stops itching, you have absolutely no idea which of the 3 interventions actually solved the problem. You are left guessing and probably paying for supplements or special food you might not even need.
So what should they do instead?
Make one single change, observe the baseline, and see what happens.
Patience and method. I like it.
Exactly.
Eyes and ears, however, seem to require a totally different approach. Eyes are remarkably delicate, and issues can escalate with terrifying speed.
Oh, absolutely. Don't wait on eyes.
Right. If you see squinting, unusual redness, or notice your dog is suddenly bumping into things in dim light, that warrants immediate veterinary attention. The structure of the eye is unforgiving, and waiting it out can lead to permanent damage.
Peers, on the other hand, require more moderation. They don't necessarily need aggressive daily cleaning unless your vet specifically instructs you to do so based on a condition.
So don't just go in there with a Q-tip every day.
No, please don't. Overcleaning can actually disrupt the natural environment of the ear canal. But if you observe recurring odor, redness, or constant head shaking, that indicates an infection requiring a veterinarian, not a DIY home remedy.
Now, beyond the physical structure and the daily behavior, there is a baseline hidden deep in their DNA.
Genetics.
Yeah. Genetic testing results for conditions like degenerative myelopathy or DM and von Willebrand disease or VWD are vital pieces of their health map. But we really need to clarify the mechanics of what those results actually mean, starting with DM.
Okay, so degenerative myelopathy is a progressive disease of the spinal cord. It essentially degrades the protective myelin sheath around the nerves, eventually causing hind limb weakness and paralysis.
Which sounds terrifying.
It does. However, receiving a positive genetic result for DM indicates a susceptibility. It means the dog has the genetic potential for the disease. It is not an actual diagnosis.
Ah, okay. So it doesn't mean they definitely have it.
Right, and it does not provide a timeline of when or even if the disease will ever actively develop in your specific dog.
Okay, that's reassuring. And then there is von Willebrand disease, which is a blood clotting disorder. It affects the proteins needed for the blood to clot properly.
Yes, VWD.
Even if your dog has never had a history of bleeding issues, if they carry the VWD genetics, that status must be highly visible in their veterinary file. Like you have to actively mention it before any surgery or even a routine dental cleaning where extractions might happen.
Absolutely, because it completely changes the surgical preparation and the protocols the vet needs to have on hand. It's proactive knowledge.
And gathering all this data, the genetic status, the weight trends, the movement videos, the behavioral shifts, it brings us to how you actually curate this strategy and present it to your veterinarian.
Which is the most important part.
Because walking into a vet's office can be really overwhelming in a standard 15-minute appointment.
Yeah.
We have to avoid the anti-data dump.
The anti-data dump, yes.
Handing a vet an unorganized, chaotic pile of observations and home videos is like handing your accountant a shoebox full of crumpled, mixed-up receipts from the last 5 years and expecting them to maximize your tax return.
It's a nightmare for everyone involved.
It creates noise rather than empowering the expert to actually help you.
Exactly. To build an effective partnership, you have to present curated trends. And you do this knowing there is no one-size-fits-all schedule for visits, vaccines, or testing panels.
It's not a cookie-cutter thing.
Not at all. Veterinary care is highly individualized. It depends entirely on your specific dog's age, the medications they are currently taking, their body composition, your geographic location, and their daily lifestyle.
Geographic location, like where they live, changes their health plan.
Oh, completely. A dog hiking in heavily wooded, tick-endemic areas requires a fundamentally different parasite strategy than a dog living on the 10th floor of a concrete city apartment building.
That makes total sense. Even spay and neuter timing has shifted away from a universal standard to a highly individualized timeline based on the dog's structural development and veterinary guidance.
Yes, the science on that is really evolving.
And once that surgery is done, monitoring their post-op weight is critical because their metabolic needs and energy requirements often drop significantly, making them prime candidates for sudden weight gain.
You also need to observe their normal input and output. And a quick note,
Well,
never restrict their water intake unless specifically directed by a veterinarian.
just let them drink what they want.
Right. But you need to know what their normal stool and water consumption patterns look like. Because persistent vomiting, diarrhea, visible blood, or true lethargy aren't things you just wait out. They require a clinical assessment.
Which brings up the crucial topic of what else we are putting into their bodies, specifically supplements.
Oh, supplement.
When prepping for a visit, owners really need to provide an honest, comprehensive list of all the supplements, fish oils, and joint chews they are giving. Because we have this societal tendency to view supplements as automatically harmless.
We do.
We assume that if it's natural, it can't possibly hurt.
But the reality is that the body still has to process those substances. Supplements can interact negatively with prescribed medications. Over time, processing large amounts of unnecessary supplements can heavily tax the liver or kidneys.
It's not just a free pass for health.
No. And circling back to our very first point about weight management, many joint chews and fish oils are loaded with a significant amount of hidden calories that owners completely forget to factor into the dog's daily caloric intake.
I didn't even think about that. A chew is still food.
It is. So a properly curated vet visit looks like this. You bring their current diet information, including the exact calories of the food and those supplements. You bring a realistic list of the treats they get.
Including the ones they sneak at the front desk.
Huh? Exactly. You have your short movement videos queued up on your phone, ready to play, and you bring a concise chronological timeline of any behavioral or physical changes. You bring a clean spreadsheet, not a shoebox of receipts.
Love that. And you ensure the basic logistics of their safety are in place, right? Verify that their microchip registration is actively linked to your current phone number. Make sure the physical collar tag is actually readable and hasn't rubbed entirely smooth against their other tags.
That happens all the time.
And map out the exact location of the nearest 24-hour emergency vet clinic before you ever need it. You definitely do not want to be trying to navigate a web search for directions at midnight while your dog is in acute distress.
Preparation is key.
So, let's pull all of this back to the confident Corgi from the waiting room in our intro.
Yes, our perfect Corgi.
He walked in, ate his treats, got his thorough exam, and went home. Nothing dramatic happened.
And that lack of drama is the ultimate victory of the baseline approach. Because the family caught the microscopic shifts early, they were able to make tiny, painless corrections.
So what did they change?
Well, they adjusted his food portions slightly to get that structural waistline back before it stressed his joints. They improved their nail care routine to fix his posture. They scheduled a routine dental cleaning to handle the mild gum inflammation before it became a rotting tooth.
That's amazing.
And they walked out of the clinic with a dog who was still happily obsessed with the front desk treat jar.
By building a comprehensive health record, like documenting the weight history, physically feeling for muscle tone changes, noting the dental findings, they have constructed an incredibly detailed map of that specific dog's biology.
They really have.
And that map is going to be invaluable in a few years. When that Corgi enters his senior years, the owners won't have to guess if he's just slowing down or if something meaningful and treatable is changing. They will know the answer because they know exactly what his peak normal actually looked like.
They completely removed the guesswork. Because knowledge about your pet's health only holds true power when you understand the mechanisms behind it and apply it consistently over time.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how much of what we casually accept as normal aging in our pets, the stiffness when they wake up, the reluctance to go on long walks, the slight grumpiness with the family is actually just hidden, entirely preventable discomfort that we are completely writing off, simply because we never took the time to map out what their peak normal actually felt like.